But overall, Scotland deserve praise for not sitting back like I thought they would and actually having a go and almost coming away with a win. Matt, you've got to be happy with that performance. This is Gulf News, kicking back the show where we discuss nothing but the beautiful game. I'm Imran, and as ever, I'm joined by my football-loving guests, Matt, Shamsir, and Sahil. Right, let's bring you a couple of bits of news from Euro 2020 to get you up to date. Denmark's Christian Eriksen has been discharged from hospital after a successful operation to fit a heart-starting device. We all wish him a speedy recovery. And UEFA says it's confident the semi-finals and final of Euro 2020 will be played at Wembley, but it has a contingency plan amid concerns around England's coronavirus restrictions. And the games could be moved from London to Budapest. So we'll see how that develops. All right, to yesterday's games. Sweden beat Slovakia 1-0 thanks to a Forsberg penalty, and that puts them on the verge of qualifying for the last 16. So well done to them. Moving on to Croatia against Czech Republic. They drew 1-1 yesterday. Schick scored from the spot, but Perisic got a lovely equaliser. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I've not been impressed so far by Croatia. Have you? Matt, what do you think?
No, not at all. Not at all. I think that everything that we were worried about before the tournament, we were talking about their age, the fact that Modric has gone off the boil, and these star players that they had before, even a few years ago when they got to the World Cup final, they're not there anymore. And that team, they just don't have the same sort of talent coming through that they used to be a great conveyor belt for players going all the way back to '96 when they burst onto the scene. And they just sometimes, these guys can fade in and out of being a superpower. But the great teams, the Spains and the Italies, more often than not, always have these great players always coming through. It might take a few years for them to get back to a certain level, but Croatia right now I don't see them coming out of a very steep dive at the moment. I think that they're heading to the bottom of the group as it stands.
Big call.
That's the first time I've been confident about Scotland this whole tournament.
Yeah, I agree with Matthew with regards to Croatia. They look pedestrian. They look the shadow of themselves. Like we have seen them tearing apart teams. But they don't look to be finding goals. That's their main problem. Up front, the potency is the problem. They're not creating enough chances. And you can see that midfield, and it's pretty strong. But apart from that, they look really old elsewhere. And even in the midfield, they look old. But that game was an even game. Czech Republic gave them a tough time, and Czech Republic wanted a point, and they got it, and they're through almost now from that group. But for Croatia, the only guy who turned up for them was like Perisic, and you can see him scoring that wonderful goal with his right foot. It was a brilliant goal that he scored, which has taken him. Now there is a stat on him where he has scored for Croatia for 4 consecutive major tournaments, which is a great stat for him. And also he has produced like 12 goals and assists, like 8 goals and 4 assists. He has become the most productive Croatian player in the history for a major tournament.
Which is good for him. Croatia haven't won. This is the first time in years now that they haven't won their first 2 games. So he's doing all right, but the team is not doing too well.
Exactly, the team is struggling, and they are there for the taking. And Scotland can beat them in the final game.
Sahil, what do you think? Impressed with Croatia? Disappointed with them? More to come from them, surely.
To be honest, very disappointed. I have to say one point, it's not a bad team at all. If you see, they're all prolific players in that squad, the likes of Kramaric, Kovacic, obviously the great Modric, and Perisic, as you said, he scored a beautiful goal. So you got to say it's not a bad team at all. Croatia have themselves to blame. They've played poor football. Against England, they were not productive at all. And against Czech, they got a special goal from Perisic. Otherwise, they've just not been great this tournament. But we cannot compare them to obviously to the 2018 World Cup final team. But still, they have a decent team. They have to play well. So there's no excuses for Croatia at all.
Now, was it a penalty? I think Lovren is quite unlucky. He's jumping for the ball. it looks more like Schick actually heads his elbow, but it was a penalty. They gave it, and he stuck it away really well. And overall, just talking a little bit about Czech Republic, I've been quite impressed with them. I can see them getting a draw in their last game against us, putting them on 5 points and advancing. What do you think of them?
Well, I think, and obviously we'll talk about England in a minute, but I think that if England keep playing the way they're playing and the Czechs have got their tails up, I think they might get more than just a draw. I think England they've got a chance to be a bit worried about this now. Obviously, as we'd say that 4 points will be enough to get through, but if they want to go through as group winners and possibly get a preferable draw in the next round, which is also up to debate and scenarios and all sorts of different things, but if they want to do their bit, at least in their own hands, and that is, top the group, they're going to really need to up their game. And the Czechs know that they'll be there for the taking. They'll have watched that game last night, and England were really quite poor. I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but it's tough to talk about one without the other. And Schick is just on fire as well. He's just having he's having the tournament of his life, so to speak, or if not the week of his life. And they've got a lot of cohesion. They're doing everything right that England and the Croats have not been doing so far. They're playing as a unit, and they're really, like there's not like one standout player or one like Perisic heroic moment that salvages a point. They're just always going at it and doing it for 90 minutes in a very business-like fashion.
Yeah, they are playing as a team, which is a credit to them. Coming back to the penalty incident, man, Imran, I don't know what to say about that. Then how is that a penalty? It's unbelievable. You can't give these kind of things as a penalty. Yes, of course, it resulted in a bloody nose, but how can you jump without you raising your arms? I'm absolutely baffled with this decision.
He's got his eyes on the ball, he's going up for it, and you can't jump up with your arms on your side. Like you to get some lift, you have to do this. He comes in from the back, and there's
exactly. You're not a fish or a dolphin to do that. No. You're a human. You have to use your arms to jump. And that was a baffling decision, man. Apart from that,
Shamsir, they don't have arms.
That's true. But this the Czech Republic, they're big boys, they're tall boys. Yeah, in the midfield you can see Suchek and Alex Kral. These guys were so tall and they were dominating. And it was a completely even game. In the first half, Croatia looked absolutely jaded. They didn't have anything to do. But I don't know then what the coach Dalic said to them in the halftime break. They came out blistering, and Kramaric with that quick free kick. Kramaric, he was technically a Premier League winner with Leicester, having just about played enough games. That quick free kick resulted in that goal where Perisic jinxed into the box brilliantly. I'm impressed with Czech.
Sorry, Shamsi, that was quite naive from Czech. I mean, it was a foul, it was a free kick. Any other team, you keep hold of the ball and you probably just throw it a bit further away from the incident, but they just dropped the ball on the floor. Immediately, free kick was taken, Perisic ran through and scored a lovely goal. So I think they'll have to keep in mind next time.
I don't think they'll make the same mistake again. They were becoming too nice for that. You need to be nasty. You need to be.
They were going for the spirit.
Sahil, what did you think of Czech? How do you think they've been playing so far?
Oh, very impressive. First of all, obviously that game against Scotland, Schick scored us beauty. So they won 2-0 there. Now against a decent team like Croatia, they got a point, they earned a point. So, you have to give credit to them. And I don't know, I would brag before about England beating Czech badly, but now I can't. It's going to be a good game for sure. I was going to say England are going to crush Czech Republic, but no, absolutely not. The Czech are going to give a big fight to England, and that's going to be an interesting game to watch because both are at 4 points. And that's going to be one heck of a game. So we're going to have to wait for that.
It's a winner take all situation for that one, really. If who wins that wins the group essentially, and after the next round of games tonight, we might actually get a clearer picture as to whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, because you'll be playing one of the dreaded three. But we'll see.
All right, let's get to that big one. We've mentioned it already several times. England against Scotland. They played out a 0-0 draw, and it leaves them both with a good chance of getting to the knockout stage. But I really thought Scotland were really good last night. They didn't set out to defend or play for a point. They went for it. And thanks to Pickford in goal, they would have had, they would have been ahead. But we came quite close as well. John Stones in the first half should have done better with that header. He hit the post. It was a free header. I think he maybe should have done better. But overall, Scotland deserve praise for not sitting back like I thought they would and actually having a go and almost coming away with a win. Matt, you've got to be happy with that performance.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the key thing that I took away from it is the way that Clark got the boys playing, and there's no heads down after that. Let's say unfortunate and slightly undeserved 2-0 loss to the Czechs. They came out, they knew they were at Wembley, they knew that they had a whole nation waiting for this for 25 years since they were last there in '96. And they did Scotland proud. They were to a man, they were up for it. They were not, as you said, they were not negative or defensive. They just went right the way from the first whistle. They had like 2 or 3 great chances before Stones hit the post. And then they kept going, and even with like 5 minutes to go, and you're like, oh my goodness, here we go again. They're going to get that last minute sucker punch, as happens to Scotland so often. They were tearing up the field looking for a winner. They thought, do you know what, we could do this, and they almost nearly did. They had 2 chances towards the end. Lyndon Dykes had a great chance that Pickford saved, and I think it was O'Donnell a little while earlier. Great save by Pickford. And they had the most shots on goal, and all those stats. As I say, stats don't win you games, but they give you an indication as to who was doing better, and that's both games now. The big, I'll get to the criticism now. The big problem that they have is they've had most shots on target. They didn't have more shots, but they had more shots on target yesterday. They had 19 shots against the Czechs, and they still not scored a goal. There's the problem. As I said earlier, we've had times when we've had one great striker and 10 terrible players. Now we seem to have 11 great players, but no out-and-out striker that's just going to bang them in for fun. And that's what they're lacking at the moment. But not to take anything away from a brilliant performance.
Yeah, you can smile, Matthew. You can smile. You don't have to be so serious about it. That was a brilliant performance from the Scotland. They have give you guys a pride moment, Matthew. It was a brilliant performance. For me, it looked like a Premier League performance. It had a look and feel of a Premier League team's performance. It was more like a top table versus a mid-table kind of a game, where the mid-table, it's not mid-table is going to always create havoc to the top table teams. It was something like that. And for Scotland, they worked hard for each other, especially in that midfield. McGregor, Gilmore, and Mackin completely outrun the English midfield. They worked hard, and England looked very leggy, and they were struggling to break the lines. They were too pedestrian in passes. They were very slow. They couldn't run down the channel. That was down to the tactics and formation from Steve Clark, because the shape of that Scotland team was absolutely incredible, because they had a system in place. They knew when to press, when to harry the English players, and they knew when to sit back and absorb the pressure. It was a completely dominant performance. It was very logical from them, and I'm pretty impressed with them. I'm 100% impressed with them. And for England, it shows the struggle they have. I don't understand why Gareth Southgate took so long to make the changes when it was very clear that the 2 sitting midfielders were struggling to find a rhythm in the game. You don't need 2 sitting midfielders in this game. And the changes that he made were like changes, which didn't help either. So it was credit to Scotland for stifling them. It was not just frustration, it was just stifling them, and they were going for the winner. And if they had a little more cutting edge, Scotland could have won that game, because they had more shots on target, they had more attempts. England, apart from the first half attempts, they hardly had anything in the second half, and their talismanic figure, Harry Kane, was absolutely anonymous in the game. He didn't even have one shot on target in the 2 games. 108, like almost 160 minutes he played, and he doesn't have one shot on target. And the more worrying thing for a Three Lions fan is that he's the talismanic figure. and he has got only like 19 touches in that game. Like he has that's the fewer times that he has done that whenever he has played 45 more minutes in a game. That is a worrying fact.
Yeah.
Sahil, what did you make of Scotland?
Oh, as I mentioned this yesterday. Only Matt will know that it was never going to be a straightforward game at all. This was the right lineup Scotland put out. Tierney was back, Shea Adams was playing. I knew that this was not going to be a straightforward game for England, but I didn't know that Scotland were going to dominate England. This was something new. Dykes was clear off the line. James. It was just brilliant from Scotland, and of course Billy Gilmore. He was the star man. I'm sure Shamsher is a Chelsea fan. He must be. Do you remember his FA Cup performance against Liverpool on his?
Yeah, of course.
He ran the midfield against England. He was outstanding. He was confident. It's not like he was just doing some backward passes. He was going front. He was creating chances. And we have to give, first of all, full credit to Andy Robertson. He was whipping some brilliant crosses in. So full credit to Scotland. I mean, England were poor today. And I feel like it's enough of having two defensive midfielders. Yes, Calvin Phillips had a fantastic game against Croatia. But you can't keep playing the same lineup. You got to change it up. Jack Grealish has to earn a start. Come on. It's just he has to play against Czech Republic no matter what. And Harry Kane, yes, 19 touches. Oh my God. That is a scary. Oh God. Because I am a huge fan. I'm an England fan. And if Harry Kane is not going to perform for England, then who's going to step up? So it's a scary.
Right. Scotland had really good performances there. Robertson put in another captain's performance. Gilmore, like we mentioned, he was bossing that. He was man of the match and deservedly so. And Kearney made the difference when he obviously playing his game yesterday. But I thought we were, again, really sluggish, really disappointing again. Like we touched on there, Kane had a really poor game. He was anonymous mostly for that one. And I don't know why we took off Phil Foden. I mean, he was the only one that looked like he was going to do something, getting on the ball, being positive, trying to beat players. But we took him off and it didn't go down well at all with the fans at Wembley. And we put Grealish on. He just couldn't have any impact on the game. But yeah, I mean, that was another poor performance. But if we look at the bigger picture there that we've discussed, I mean, that's 4 points. We've got 1 foot into that last 16 now. And like I said, Croatia haven't been that good. So Scotland will really fancy their chances against them. A win will see them qualify. And I think that would be great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the one thing that just a bit of the Foden factor there is that and I'm pretty sure I'll ask you, Imran, this as well, obviously, as an England fan. If the two managers, there was a clear indication as to the two managers there and who won that battle. Clark clearly knew what he was doing, and he said, boys, go out there, you get physical, you get in there. McGinn got an early yellow for talking back to the referee because... but the referee had a very good game as well. He actually let it go. And the Southgate is going to have a lot of enemies in England right now. He was outthought and outmuscled by his opposite manager. If such a thing's possible, if it's those two going head to head, Steve Clarke kicked his bottom, and he was just basically. In the tactical way, Scotland absolutely, but England played into Scotland's hands. They did what Clark says. I know what Southgate's going to do, so we're going to be 1 step ahead, and we're going to do this. And it almost very nearly ended up in a win, and that was very good. But
they were
as you say, you're spot on with that. I mean, definitely for the touchline battle, Steve Clarke won that hands down. His team selection was far better than what Southgate. I mean, we made 2 changes there in the fullback positions. I don't know why we put Shaw there. I mean, if you're going to make a change to affect the team, then you've got to put Chilwell at left back. He's far more attacking. He would have got forward more. He would have posed a bit of a trouble for the Scotland defence, but we had Shaw back there, and he never really ventured too much forward. He did on one occasion, and he messed up his cross. I mean, on the other side, we had James. Other than that, he stuck to that same team, which never really got going against Croatia, and they never really got going against Scotland yesterday. But I think overall, definitely Scotland deserved that point. They'll be very pleased with that. They could have won that match, and credit to their man, to their performance. And so well done, Matt. I think full points for you there.
Yeah, Billy Gilmore. We have to talk about Billy Gilmore, man, because
here comes the N'Golo Here comes the N'Golo Kante mention.
Yeah.
He's the N'Golo Kante of Scotland. You know, it was absolutely brilliant. I had called in a previous preview that it will be absolutely criminal not to start this guy, because he's quality, man. He's absolute quality, and he made more recoveries than anyone else in that pitch, and he made more passes than anyone else for Scotland. He was instrumental in everything that they were doing, and absolutely brilliant performance from Billy Gilmore. And to credit to the boy, whenever he has started for Chelsea in an FA Cup game, and he won the Man of the Match award. He started in a Champions League game for Chelsea, and he won a Man of the Match award. Now he made his international debut for Full Start, and he won a Man of the Match award. This boy is going to be there for another decade or so in that heart of the midfield for Scotland. What a player.
That's all right.
And he roughed up his Chelsea teammate Mount as well, so he didn't care about that. He was for sure interested in a good performance, and it definitely did. Right, to today's game, some interesting ones today. We've got Spain against Poland. Now, Spain were frustrated in their first game against Sweden. They were held to a 0-0 draw. But I think they'll have too much for Poland. I can see them cruising to a 3-0 win. Matt, what do you think? Predictions?
Oh, it depends on the Spanish nerves, I reckon. I'm not quite sure if Busquets is going to make the team today. I know he's back in the squad, but I don't think he's clear to play yet. I think that Poland were fairly lackluster in their first match. And Lewandowski, if he is going to produce something, he'd have to do it today. And I think that could be the dangerous thing for Spain, because if they lose, they're in trouble. So if they get nervy, they're in trouble. And we know that they were exposed a few times in the first game as well. So, I mean, one way of looking at it is they could have been fortunate to come away with a draw in that game. They also could have won it as well, as we know. But I think Spain will come through, but I think it'll be an edgy affair, maybe 2-1 with a late winner.
I think, for Poland, you know, they need all their big players to step up. Zelinski's and Lewandowski's and Matthias Klich. All these guys have to step up to get something out of this game. For Spain, they have to show the rest of the teams that they are not here just to pass around. They have to penetrate it sometimes. So let's see. I think it's going to be a draw again, man. That's what I'm feeling.
Another draw, eh? Oof. Yeah. Sahil, what do you think?
To be honest, for me, Spain are like after watching that game against Sweden, I just kept laughing because they look like a funny team. They were not able to score the easiest of these. So I don't know, but I think Spain should win. Come on, like that game against Sweden, I couldn't stop laughing. Like too many chances they missed. So they got for at least one.
Right, the other one, yeah. Right, we've got Hungary against France. Now, France, they never had to get out of second gear against Germany. And I don't think they'll be tested today, but they're going to have to work hard for it. But I can see a 2-0 win for France today. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, well, I think they're going to have a different proposition as they did against Germany for all the opposite reasons. These guys have got nothing to lose and everything to prove. This Hungarian team, they're young, they're enthusiastic, they're big, they're talented. They're just unknown to the rest of Europe right now, and they want to make themselves known. And who are better to do it against than the world champions? France, I know they're not going to be idiots at all, and they're not going to be complacent about this. So I think they'll be very businesslike. There'll be no quarter given, and they will go at them right from the start and just try and kill it in the first 20 minutes. And I think they'll do that. And I think they'll end up maybe Hungary will come into when they ease off at 3-1.
3-1.
Yeah.
But for me, you know, if I'm a Hungarian fan, I'll be feeling hard done by the last game because the scoreline doesn't show the performance actually. No. They were absolutely brilliant against Portugal, and I'm sure that might have kept their heads down now. I don't think they can give any more performance because they gave it all in that game. And when it comes against the world champions, if like what you've mentioned, if France move a gear or two, they can score 4 or 5 goals. That's the thing. So it's going to be that kind of a game where they want to win this game and rest their top players in the next game. So I think France will go with a full attack mode, and they might win like 3 or 4 goals.
What do you think?
I'm going to go for a straightforward 3-0 win to France. I'm just trying to be as honest as I am. I don't think Hungary have a chance. Even though they almost survived against Portugal, this is a French team with so much talent. So it's got to be 3-0 for me.
All right. And we saw Portugal, against Hungary come through in that last 10 minutes. They're playing Germany today in the big one for tonight. They've got quality in that side, and I do fear for Germany. They've got some problems in their team, and they're going to need a big performance to get something out of this one. But I can see Portugal nicking this 1-0. Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think that Germany's tournament could be in tatters, and Lowe's career could be over as a coach before this tournament even gets going properly, because I think Ronaldo has already got that eye for goal, as we've talked about so many times. He's got that all-time goal-scoring record in his targets, and he'll be saying, "Give me that ball, I'm getting the goal." These guys are old. He'll be confident. Portugal will be confident. They're younger, they're fitter, they're faster, and they will be wanting to get this as both France and Portugal know. They can put out their benches in that last game, knowing that they're both already qualified with 6 points. So again, Portugal will do the same mindset: go out, try and kill it early, and I think they'll do that. And they were frustrated by Hungary for a long time, and they want to put that right as well. So they'll be going for goal very early. Obviously Ronnie will be trying to get on the end of everything, and I'm sure he'll get at least another 2, and Portugal will win 4-1. There you go, crazy score.
Well, you never know.
That just came right out of there. I don't know. There's my logic.
It defies logic, actually. I don't think there will be a 4-1.
I'm still on a high from last night.
Yeah, I can see that. But this is a more important game for Germany than Portugal. Germany can't afford to lose this game, because if they lose this game and they have the final game against Hungary, and they should win that game to have a chance. But their destiny won't be in their own hands. But if they get at least a point against Portugal, they can at least think about having 4 points coming into the group stages, and which I think Germany could do with a defensive midfielder, and they don't have any. But you can see someone like Kimmich, who is very capable of doing that, but he is drifting towards the right hand side. He's playing as a wing back. If Joachim Low can bring him into the midfield, it'll be great for Germany. And their major problem is major problem is on the up front. Basically, they don't have a striker who can put the ball back in the net. So they have to start with the Gnabry again. And but I think Leroy Sané might get a start today, and I think he can create havoc to that Portugal defense. But for Portugal, after watching that game, Germany's game against France, he will be thinking, if I'm Santos, I'll be thinking, okay, I can trouble these guys with pace, so I might start Rafa Silva and Diogo Jota on the flanks and give a trouble to the German defense. But I think Germany, for me, I have a soft corner towards Germans, and I think they could nick a win in this game.
But they know that Portugal will have Hummels up front to score a goal for them as well. He's the leading scorer for France.
He's got a good one the other day.
I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw, because the Germans, they got to come out fighting. They have to give it a fight to Portugal. As much as I said, Portugal are the favorites, but the Germans are going to come out fighting. And I think Shamsher, your favorite player Timo Werner will start. So why are you saying they don't have a striker?
No comments. But he's more than a striker, he can give a lot of problems to the
Definitely.
defense, with his decoy.
He's always there in the right position, but it's just that he just never converts anything. That's the one problem.
Yeah.
But 2-2, Cristiano Ronaldo should get one, and the Germans are going to come out fighting. And I just wanted to ask one question. Is Leon Goretzka fit to play for Germany?
I don't think he'll be fit enough to start, but he could come in the second half.
All right.
It'll be interesting to see what team they put out, because against France, they were just second to every ball, really lacked a bit of a cutting edge. Had some chances there, but like Matt says, they're a bit suspect with Hummels at the back. He's not getting any younger. But that'll be an interesting one. Right then, that's it for us for today. As always, head to golfnews.com for all the latest news, and we'll catch up again tomorrow.